One of the ways people are the walking dead is there's no stability. There's constant vacillation. And one of the reasons is there's two separate nervous systems, trophotropic and ergotropic. And we each have two people inside, Jekyll and Hyde. And they're constantly vacillating depending on the substances we put in our body, the food, the people we're around, or our addictions. That determines what nervous system we're in. And that is the scientific explanation for moodiness. Changing. Gee, she changes so much. You know, she's moody. And one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. We all have two people. We all wake up on the wrong side of the bed. We all get mad at times. But controlling ourselves so those two sides aren't so evident is a fruit of the Spirit. And if somebody is unstable and they don't have that, you know they don't have the fruit. Now, women often say, oh, I'm manic depressant. You know, they say sometimes they're manic, sometimes they're depressant. I think that's a cop-out. We're all moody. We all have two sides. It's almost like an excuse to go on big pharma drugs to control it. Yes, sometimes I'm manic, sometimes I'm depressed. You control it. You learn how to help yourself to not be that way. Why are you depressed? Sin is a depressant. Alcohol is a depressant. Bad food is a depressant. It's depressing to be around draining people. These things depress us. It doesn't mean you're mentally ill. It just means you have to control it. Going to a shrink, getting put on meds. It's an excuse to not do the self-work. You have to work on yourself. What is depressing you? Are you around people who are depressing you? Are you drinking? That's a terrible depressant. Are you taking drugs that depress you? Are you on the wrong diet? What is depressing you? And what is making you manic? Well, I like being manic. I don't see anything wrong with that. High as a kite, creative all day. I like being imaginative and manic. I just don't want the downside. And it always happens for one reason with me, because I have the diet controlled and I'm not in sin. I don't have any, I don't think anymore. But I do get depressed because I'm around people that depress me. And I don't want to be locked into anybody. That's called unequally yoked. I don't want to be unequally yoked to anybody. That's like yoking a stallion horse to a donkey or something like that. The stallion is going to be dragged down by it. I don't want to be dragged down. That depresses me. I don't want to be locked into anybody. I don't want to be trapped in a relationship, especially in the environment. So I don't get in people's cars, I don't go to their houses, I stay independent. And I'm happy all the time because of that. And 9:2 says, those who have walked in darkness have seen a great light. The walking dead are walking in darkness. They're socially hypnotized, they're culturally hypnotized into the consensus, a fake consensus. Yes, the whole herd agrees with it, doesn't make it true, but it's definitely a depressant, and it will lower your intelligence. Going with the consensus rather than what you feel. It takes self-work to find out what you feel, to get beyond all the layers of cultural conditioning and conditioning from other people, to find out what you want to do, what you like, what you don't like. And a lot of people start telling me, you know, Karen, I can't stand it when people drop in. I can't stand it when they overstay. I can't stand it when they want to have a boring conversation when I'd rather be working. You're right, but I've put up with it. And they also say things like, you know, I'll do anything to avoid confrontation. Well, what are you talking about? Well, I asked her to do something, and she said she would, but then she didn't. What she says is not what she does. Okay, you don't want to confront her again then. You mean she doesn't respect you enough to follow through with what she said she would do. So people fall into their bag rather than confront again. They're afraid of it. They're weak. I despise human weakness. You got to be strong enough to confront. If somebody's in your environment and they promise to do something and they don't do it, they don't follow through, that is chaos. That's chaos of modern civilization. People don't do what they say they're going to do. There's no fidelity. There's no commitment. That's a lie when they say they're going to do something and they don't do it. It's a disrespect. But you see, if you're weak, you just fall into your bag. You want to do something else to get around it rather than confront it. You'll end up spending a lot of money that you don't need to. You'll end up just wasting a lot of time that you don't need to. If you can't have the courage to take control of your environment and your family and not cower in front of somebody. The walking dead, they're often a narcissist. They're inhabited by a demon just wanting to control you and take what you have. But they're empty other than that. You have to stand up against it. In the 50s, even poor people had very neat homes. Everything in its place, just austerely neat. You don't have to be rich to be neat. But now everything's changed. People have junk in the front door. Why would you have junk in front of the front door? Wouldn't you like to have a nice entrance to your home? Not a bunch of junk for people to look at? But that's the way it is now. And people have junk all over the yards. And no, why can't you be neat? Because people say, well, why should I? What difference does it make? You know, I have this tenant. She has some junk in front of the door. I like things to look really nice. And she has a trash bag, a trash can, and a vacuum cleaner in front of the front door. I says, can you kindly remove that? I want things to look nice here. I don't want things to look slummy. You know, I paid a lot of money for this whole ranch, and I like things to look real nice. Well, why? What's the big deal? This little thing here. I said, I don't want one thing there except the furniture that I put there. She couldn't understand it at all. Because we are so far removed from the 50s when people had pride and they had their houses look immaculate even though they were poor. And they didn't have a bunch of old used appliances in the front yard and old cars they'll never use again and junk and tires and crap lying around. That's the way it is now. It goes along with all their tattoos. It was the 50s. But then the 60s came around, it was the hippies. And the hippies said, screw order. They wanted purposeful disorder. They wanted everything disorder. Why should we have order? Why should you have marriage? Why should you do this? They upset everything. And along with that was order. And a woman who wanted a neat house, she was put down. You know, and they had t-shirts, F housework. I won't say the word. F housework. Like that was passé. Why should you have perfect order? Let's have peace, not war. Let's have free love. Let's have freedom everywhere. I don't have to clean house. What's with this order thing? That was the hippie generation. And some people in their 80s were hippies then. They're still hippies now. To Walmart. Everybody looked very puffy. I felt sorry for them. They looked so puffy like they can't breathe. They're just puffing out of their clothes and they can hardly walk. They waddle. They don't walk. Strange. Or I'll see another new style. A very skinny man and a very fat woman. Don't ask me why. Maybe his mother was fat. Edible complex, I don't know. But you just see strange things in today's world. And people look sick. The older people look very sick. Like they just got out of their doctors. Very pasty and just very puffed up. probably with big pharma stuff, it puffs you up. All those pills puff you up. The body retains water as a way of a buffer zone. And I feel so sorry for them. They look like they're ready to have a heart attack. Puffed up. They're not eating right. They're living off of fast food or something. It's a very sad situation. The culture is going down, and a lot of it is evil. A lot of weakness is actually evil, and a lot of what you see as evil is actually weakness. Get strong, get pure, get good, disfatten the body, declutter the environment, live in a Zen simplicity home so you can think about God and angels and discover yourself and discover your talent. Don't fall down in the swill with these other pigs. Don't do it. Go up, become exalted, transcend the culture, and then maybe you can save a nation. In modern culture, everything is toxic. Everything is filled with plastics and vinyl, and just the building materials make me so sick. I have multiple chemical sensitivities, MCS. I was born with it. That's why I gotta live out in the country. But when my neighbors start to burn their trash, they throw plastic bags in the trash, in the burn. And that is the most dangerous thing you can ever breathe, is burning plastic. It isn't just paper they're burning. It is plastic. And they don't realize how deleterious it is, how sickening and dangerous it is to breathe that stuff in. One of the reasons the people whose homes were burnt down in LA, the Palisades, they can't go back home because the air quality is so awful from all the burned plastics in people's homes. You can't breathe it, you'll be dead. So that's modern civilization. That's one reason people are fat. The body adapts to that by sequestering the toxins in fat, layers of fat. You can't get as thin as they were in the 50s. They were pencil thin in the 50s and 60s and early 70s. They were pencil thin, but you can't get that thin anymore because the body is saving the inner organs from the toxins by sequestering it in the outer organs. So that's why everybody's puffy. One reason. Second reason, of course, the food. The big reason is big pharma drugs puff you up. And being around people who are holding you down puffs you up. And addictions make you ugly and puff you up. Puffy. You gotta get clear, then you'll get slim. I look into a room, I look at all the people in the room, it's all performance. I can see Joyce, she's trying to get attention, and then she made a joke, oh, she's performing for them. Oh, look at that, kissy huggy. They stab each other in the back in a minute. They're kissing and hugging now. Performance. Performance. The clear can see performance. That's society. And the more sick everybody gets, and the more evil everybody gets, because in the latter days, people become evil. The more it's about performance and selfishness. If you ever get rich, you'll have relatives and in-laws coming out of the woodwork. And they'll say, yeah, we're family, we're family, we're family. But before you were rich, they stepped all over you, wouldn't have a thing to do with you, put you down to everybody else. They thought they were superior to you. But when you get rich, oh, we're family. And I say, now we're a family now, huh? Yeah. Performance. New consensus is that everybody should be covered in tattoos. Even the women, their arms are black with tattoos. That's the heathen. The Bible says we are not to mark up our bodies like the heathen do. Why would you want to mark up your body? It's so ugly. It looks black and blue. It looks dirty. But that's the new consensus. And everybody's doing it more. It's like every time I go to the bank, I go to the store, the girls have all their forearms filled with black tattoos. Consensus can take you down an atrocious path to hell. And that's what happens to whole cultures. They go down a path to hell together. But because they're together, that's what they want. It's like a flock of birds flying in perfect unison. No individual bird questions the path. All they know is all the other birds are going that direction. But we have higher intelligence than a bird. We should be an individual, not flying in unison. Don't mark up your body or do anything else that they're doing. They are crazy. I went to Walmart this morning, The Walking Dead. And men are no longer men. Men are coward. They look scared. They look like scared little boys, like they've been brought up by feminist mothers who wouldn't let them show their manhood or assert themselves at all, or put the girls first, or all that. These men I saw in Walmart were not just beta males. They are the Walking Dead. A man should be a man, not cowering and frightened and over-conciliatory and, overly needing to please everybody. That's not being a man. A man is walking upright and has his own direction, has his own mission. None of this beta male crap, and it's everywhere. That's the Walking Dead. And then the women become Amazons, but not just Amazons, but obese. It's not truly strength at all, but they definitely are taking over. How are we doing on the fruits, greens, and nuts and seeds, and occasional cheese? If you're interested in the fruit and cheese diet, and doing it that way rather than avocados and nuts for your fat, read my book, Champion Guides, written in 2001. That was the whole thing. I found it much easier. I lived on something called doughless pizza. That's what I do with my rice maker now. I put my salsa in there, and maybe some green beans, which is a low-carb vegetable, by the way. Not peas and corn, rice and beans. No, green beans are a low-carb vegetable with your salsa and some Parmesan cheese in there. It makes it delicious. I would call that doughless pizza, and that would make a good lunch if you want to go low-carb. You can have a little bit of popcorn. That's a low-carb snack, maybe 1 to 2 cups. Other than that, have a strawberry smoothie for your breakfast. That's low-carb fruit. Mango is not. Put your tahini and almond butter in there. And have walnuts and pecans for your nuts. Those are low-carb nuts. Cashew is not. So you see, we're reversing between high-carb, low-carb. I'll be on the low-carb for about a week, and then I'll start to crave sweet fruit and go back to the other way. With a mango smoothie and, beans and high carb rice and corn. I'll go back for that for a couple days. Reversal dieting between high carb and low carb, but you got to know what it is. For example, the green beans are low carb. You wouldn't put corn on a low carb day. Learn how to differentiate, and you can maintain your low weight that way. Get skinny. Don't be fat like the rest of the culture. If we were ever invaded by an external army, they're all fit. They're all fit in other countries. And they come here, we're all fat and slobbery and slovenly. They could overtake us in a minute. Get fit.